Are you a home grower looking for a little bit of help? Are you ready to learn as much as you can about your favorite hobby? The Homegrown Helpers brings you informative interviews from experienced growers that have taken the next steps in their journey and decided to help you grow top quality cannabis all in your home. Now welcome in our host, Rob Smith, along with this week's Homegrown Helper. And welcome to the show, everyone. Are you ready for this week's grow tips and tricks from another Homegrown Helper? Yes, me too. This week, Christian Ballard, ex-NFL lineman for the Minnesota Vikings, he started up Missouri Caregivers Alliance, where it's his mission to destigmatize cannabis for all people, but has a distinct passion behind helping athletes learn the medical benefits of cannabis. Based off his background as an NFL player, I say that he's well suited to help break that barrier. He's also all about that perfect environment for an indoor garden and says that it is number one on his list when it comes to plant health and achieving bigger yields. I am so thankful for all of the reviews and people that listen to me week after week. I really hope you guys are getting a ton of value out of this, and it has helped your grows immensely. This show is an absolute blast to do, and I love interviewing people about their grow styles and any advice they have for you. So thank you, and here's a 5-star rating and review to share with you. Adrian Soto shares back about a month ago that this is great info. Great information from different growers helped me in my growth for being a new grower. And that is what we're all about here at the Homegrown Helpers and the GrowCast podcast. So both podcasts, we try and focus and educate the home grower on what's new and upcoming, new products, new techniques, and just basically overall guidance to help you be a better grower and grow better medicine at home than you're able to buy at a dispensary. So thank you for all those reviews. And if you haven't yet, I'd really appreciate you taking the time to do that for us. Ratings and reviews are what helps every podcast grow, but especially cannabis ones, because we can't do traditional forms of advertising. And I also feel that Google kind of shuns us in the SEO and rankings pages. So ratings and reviews, subscribing and sharing are really the way to help us reach more people and help more people learn to grow better cannabis. So last week, Jordan and I did our very first 5K quarterly giveaway, with first place including a tent, lights, soil, CBD products, Atlas Plant Trainer, a sign book from Danny Danko, a bunch of nutrients, and a pile of other stuff. And Jordan and I had so much fun giving that stuff away that we're already looking forward to January 1st and figuring out how we can make it just a little bit better. Our sponsors have mostly remained the same, so the prize packs will and should remain the same. And we're working on a new partnership to make the grow package even more complete. So if you win first place, you're pretty much going to be able to pop some seeds in some soil and start growing with everything that we send you. If you want to get your chance at our 5K giveaway, head on over to mygrowpass.com/join and choose the membership level that is right for you. We offer product discounts, member Ask Us Anythings, resources like the new Grow Journal we just launched, and so much more. For as little as $14.95 a month, you can get even more grow content from us and the crew at GrowCast. Thank you to our GrowPass partners for the show, Soham Living Soils, where you can save 10% on the best add-only water soil on the market with GrowCast 10, or 20% off after you join up at growpass.com. Also, we have Cultilux, makers of premier ceramic metal halide bulbs and fixtures, and they too offer listeners 10% using code GROWCAST. And members get a whopping 25% on any fixture or bulb for the entire time that they're a member at mygrowpass.com. So one last thing that I don't want to forget about, you should still grab some samples of the amazing Dr. Zymes, one of our partners here. And you can do that by going to growcastpodcast.com/Zymes. All you have to do is pay for shipping, and you get a couple samples, a sweet wizard pin, and a sticker or two. This is a pretty amazing product. Everybody that I know that has used it will stand behind it. So head on over to growcastpodcast.com/Zymes, ZYMES, and grab your samples today. Now, let's get on with it, and welcome to the show, Christian Ballard. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for joining us on such short notice. I know, it's only been a couple of days since we made this happen, so thanks so much.
Oh, God.
And Christian, why don't we start off with, something easy for you? I imagine, you're from Missouri, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been growing cannabis, and what made you take the leap and start helping other people learn how to grow cannabis?
I am a Missouri, Kansas native. I went to Free State High School. I played football, collegiately and professionally for the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Minnesota Vikings. While I was there, actually, if you just do a quick Google search of my name, you'll see that I was one of the few people who actually tested positive for cannabis at the NFL Combine. At that time in my life, I had just gone through a lot. I was dealing with depression, anxiety, and it was just kind of a different time in my life. So when I was in the NFL, I obviously was on a lot of pain pills, started doing alcohol, and just other kind of drugs that obviously wouldn't show up in the drug test, and it just kind of wasn't a really good fit for my life. I had a good friend I used to play with, Tyler Sash. Once I quit, he actually passed away from a methadone overdose.
Sorry to hear that.
From that point on, it's just okay. From that point on, I just kind of dedicated my life to making sure that athletes and people in general had access to this medicine that I was using, even though, it wasn't socially accepted yet. So I started just doing that. I eventually moved out to Colorado and worked at Kind Love and some of the bigger name cultivation facilities, and, here we are now.
Awesome. So you're back in Missouri and helping people learn how to grow cannabis at home and become a caregiver in the medical side of things?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Awesome. It's a lovely mission that you have and lots of personal reasons behind it. So that helps move the needle even more from what I've seen in this industry.
Yep.
So, Christian, why don't you tell me and the audience about your current grow setup? Pick a room. Let's talk about the size, the type of medium, the number of plants, your particular soil or nutrient regimen. Let's give us the rundown.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we're just doing some tent grows. Can't really flower more than 6 flowers personally in Missouri, so I like to stick with the tent. It's a little more controlled environment. I can get a nice intake and outtake for air in there, and it's just easier to kind of manage the plants and manage the space a little more. So I was usually running coco. That's how I started, but I've kind of switched over to peat moss and more of an organic mix. Build my own soil. I use amendments, and I use top dressing and teas now. It's a little bit of a learning process, but what I'm finding out that just keep it really simple and just really watch and kind of guide your plants is a lot less work than doing a hydro setup or aquaponic setup. A little bit less cleaning, and the plants really respond well to that.
So 6 flowering plants is pretty typical across the nation. What size tent do you flower in? And, what's your veg setup look like? How long do you veg for,
Sure.
to fill up that tent? And what size pots are you flowering in as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually like to flower at a 4x4. I am trying to set some stuff up with 4x8. With the laws going on right now, I'll flower out a 4x8, but I'll use actually just a closet or a 3x3. I'm not really sure yet to do my vegging in. While they're in vegging, I like to kind of do a lot of low-stress training early, spread them out and spread them around, give them a nice beat-up of foliar spray and some preventatives, and just keep them really healthy and be proactive with them. I would like to veg as long as possible. I try not to veg while I have nothing in flower, so as soon as I harvest, I will put something right back into bloom, but the goal is to try to veg for 6 to 7 weeks right now, just so you can get the most out of those 6 plants. And so far, it's looking really well.
Good. Yeah. You got to grow big plants when we're limited by the number of plants that we can grow, right?
Absolutely.
So the name of your business is Missouri Caregivers Alliance. Is there a caregiver program in Missouri where you can get signed up to grow cannabis for other people?
Yeah. Actually, you can do that. It's kind of a really interesting law that's that's been written. You as a caregiver can purchase and deliver products for two other people as they'll be your patients, but you can also cultivate for them, and you can give your extra products to them as well. They get a little bit weird. You can cultivate more than 6, but it can only be for your like blood-related family, like your mother or your wife or something like that. You can't really grow like extra plants for other people, but you can grow products for them using the 6 plants that you can grow.
That's craziness. So they want you to supply yourself with 6 plants, but also help out 2 other patients with 6 plants?
Yeah, that's kind of, I really think they kind of messed up on that one. But yeah, that's the verbiage right now.
Okay.
You can have an agreement with 2 other patients where you are, distributing for them, but you cannot, but outside of those 2, it's illegal, and you can't increase your plant count just because you have 2 patients on it.
Very interesting approach there in Missouri. I come from Maine, and when I started growing as a caregiver, we were allowed to grow 6 plants per patient, up to 5 patients per caregiver. And then we were also able to put both my wife and I underneath one roof as caregivers. Mm-hmm. So technically, including our medical plants, we could have up to 72 flowering plants underneath one roof at any given time.
Nice.
Yeah, we never quite got that far. We averaged like the 40, 45 just to make sure the rooms were nice and full.
Sure.
And it wasn't, much more work, but we always had that buffer in case we needed to go a little bit bigger.
Yep. In Missouri, you can kind of do something like that. You can use your space to have a friend or a buddy grow in the same house. You have 2 cultivators in the same roof. I think the limit actually hasn't been defined yet. But there is a kind of gray area where you can have another person use your actual house or wherever to cultivate as well. But they are the only person who can have access to it, though. So kind of loose there.
Man, it's so frustrating talking to growers from around the country and hearing the different laws that, states just impose on people for no, seemingly good reason. I'm sure somebody had their reason along the way, but
right.
There are medical programs that, work in other states. It just always amazes me that, as new programs come online, that everybody thinks that they can do it better than other places that are already working.
Right.
And yet they all seem to have their flaws and different problems and lack of clarity, I guess.
Right,
There's always some gray areas in there as well.
No, I mean, it's like every time they try to write the laws, they always kind of mess it up some way, somehow. So we're just kind of in this state where we're trying to figure out how they're going to rewrite it and implement it. A lot of scare tactics are being put on Missouri residents and stuff, but the laws are so loose right now, it's kind of hard to even imagine that we're literally going out and raiding houses right now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I have always been an advocate, though, that if your state allows you to grow either medical or recreational cannabis,
right,
that we should stick within those laws that we have, because they've given us that right. They've given us that ability. And we shouldn't be the people that, even grow 10 plants when they're allowing you 6.
Right.
Because it puts a black mark on the program if you get caught,
Yeah, it's crazy.
So let's get on to the grow tips and tricks here, Christian. You're working with a new grower. I'm sure you work with a lot of them.
Yeah.
What are the things to do or to pay attention to when it comes to improving the overall health of the plant?
I would say your environment, number one. Making sure that I always tell my clients to mimic nature as much as possible. Smell, feel, like just use your senses to kind of like gauge how the plant may feel in the environment. I feel like is one of the best things for growers to do. There's a lot of information out there in growing, and you can learn a lot of different things from a lot of different people and read all these forums. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your own environment and how you dial in your specific zone. And I think when you look at it that way, more so overthinking what's going on with the plant, you're going to be ahead of a lot of problems. Great.
Yeah, we hear environment, as lots of consultants' number one answers on the show here. Let's dive into that a little bit more and, what are the standards? Temperature, humidity. Do you have them pay attention to VPD and do that math?
Yeah.
Or is it really just like keep it at this constant and try and keep it within these ranges?
For a lot of veg stuff, I like to keep it a little bit warmer. I like to really kind of pump the heat in there and get some airflow in it just because the veg kind of responds better to that. But when it comes more to the flower, I'm really trying to teach them more the beneficial and the pesticide spraying because that's where you can lose a garden. I mean, you can lose it to heat stress, lose it to a herm issue, but once you get like a pest infestation, you're kind of putting yourself back a really, really, really long time. So I try to, especially with powdery mildew, being in Missouri, we have a humidity thing. So a lot of, if you're not getting an accurate airflow, and you don't have a good pesticide regimen, you're looking at just a ton of problems. So airflow is number one. I like it a little bit hot in the veg, but as long as there's good enough air circulation, I'm not too worried about PM. But when it gets in the flower, it's a lot to pay for some of these AC units, and I really try to just make sure that any room or any environment I'm having has good intake and outtake for air, because I've really seen plants just burst open with good air intake and not really needing a lot of CO2, but just having that rotation of good and bad air going is like sometimes a game changer, in my opinion.
Do you use any filters on your air intake to ensure that nothing unwanted is getting into the space?
Yeah, always, all the time. Yep, I use a can filter, a carbon filter for the outtake, and then I use a couple different filters, a shroom cloud, or really whatever I can find to filter what I'm putting in there.
Cool. I imagine that the majority of your grows are being set up in a tent, like you said, or maybe somebody's basement. So hopefully it's a clean environment around there.
Right.
I know a lot of growers use like a HEPA filter to ensure that none of that intake stuff is bringing in molds or mildews from the outside environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Christian, in your opinion, and you talked about a bit about this earlier on, what is the single highest leverage move a grower can do in order to increase the yield off of a limited number of plants?
Right. Yeah. Just kind of harping back on and dialing in your environment. A lot of growers want to get a good strain, or they want to buy new plants, and they want to do all this other stuff that people are going to tell them to do. But the best thing is just to really dial in that environment. Make sure that you have everything from the start. You don't want to be adding things middle of the run or needing to get a pesticide application set up like right before flower. You want to have all that stuff kind of ready to go. So I usually tell beginners to go ahead and run auto flowers because they're going to flower no matter what, and they are a good beginning plant. You can figure out if there's light leaks in your basement, any kind of light leaks, if we have any real photos in there. You can see what kind of bugs are there. You can see if you have a PM problem, and then you can really start to take those problems away before you even have a real harvest. So for me personally, I would tell every grower just to really study like nature, kind of like what happens in nature. Study the low stress training stuff. A lot of these things that we do to the plants that a lot of people call them pseudoscience is just what naturally occurs in nature. Telling people to turn the soil, to defoliate, because in the wild this is what happens. It's fun, but it's kind of like a little bit confusing that people don't understand it. So just really like getting out of that whole the capitalistic gardening side of things and getting back to the holistic practice of it, the regenerative practice. I think you can learn a ton about this plant.
Okay, so dialing in your environment is going to help with the plant health and increasing the yields. But you did kind of touch upon some low stress training tactics. Can you cover, your basics when it comes to whether you're topping, whether it's just bending and pinching? Walk us through what you're doing to a plant to increase the size.
Surely, first off, I am so against topping. That's one of my kind of pet peeves. A lot of people are just like top, like they want to tell people to top right away, and I feel like it's such a waste. The way I was taught is that the third note, start pinching it. We pinch it as much as you can. If you're in there enough, you'll feel when the plant kind of bounce back and it's ready to be pinched again, and you just keep doing it. If it ever comes to a point where, the canopy is uneven, just start to bend them. That's a little bit harsher, but it'll even your canopy out and you'll keep your nose. I try to do that throughout the entire veg, and I've had some really good success with like getting 2.5 pounds out of a 4x4, but just being very, very strict on the low stress training from the very beginning all the way to like the crucial portion part.
So when you're pinching, are you pinching and pulling off, or are you just squeezing that top node and kind of trying to stunt that growth a little bit?
Yeah. I think there's a couple different techniques. Once a pinch, obviously you'll feel like a little pop. You'll see the cell wall break a little bit. I usually do that when they're super young. When they get a little bit bigger, I do a twist and pop. So it's kind of like you twist someone's arm, but you'll feel that actual cell wall break as well. It's the same thing. It's going to send a signal down to the plant to tell the nutrients to stop coming to that branch and to send nutrients somewhere else. It's going to raise the canopy up, and all the lower branches will get way more nutrients. As the plant gets actually bigger and we're about to put it under the scrog net, that's when I start to do the twist, pop, and bend. I'll twist it, I'll pop it, and I literally will almost bend it all the way, not where it's snapping, but to where I want it, so that it kind of stunts that growth. It's going to always bounce back. I've never seen it not bounce back, but it's more of a tedious way to garden than a lot of people are taught. Just letting it kind of go. It's free range.
Okay, so you're never really removing anything from the plant. I know some people, instead of topping, will pinch off the top, but you're not actually removing anything from the plant. Is that correct?
Yeah, I try my hardest to not take anything off the plant. I will, skirt the bottom and all the little tiny branches that will never hit the sunlight. Yeah, I'll take some of that off, but the top nodes, I only top that when I feel like there's a height issue, when I feel like the nodes will, in flower, hit the lights and burn. That's the only time I would ever top the plant.
Great. Thanks for the rundown there. So we're going to take a quick break to thank our growpass.com sponsors, actually mygrowpass.com. The program is just GrowPass. First up, we have Sohum Living Soils. You can go to sohumsoils.com and use the code GROWCAST10, GROWCAST10, to save yourself 10% off all of their fine products. Sohum Soils was created to take the thinking out of growing clean, quality cannabis. With all of the liquid fertilizer on the market, consumers can be afraid to try and be a chemist when mixing nutrients. No need for that with Sohum Living Soils. Just add plain water. You don't even need to pH it. That's all. They have a super useful chart that shows you the proper size container to ensure you get enough food to the plant for a full flower cycle by just adding water. The soil is designed with beneficial bacteria and fungus, as well as all the macro and micronutrients that your plant needs. Set it, forget it. It's that easy. Remember, sohumsoils.com. Get 10% using code GROWCAST10, or all of our members save 20% off when you access and use the code available to you in your member portal. Next up, we have Cultilux Horticultural Lighting. They have given away 10% off to our listeners using GrowCast 10 or GrowCast. I think both work. And members save 25% off of all of their premier ceramic metal halide fixtures. These fixtures are designed to provide customers with an easy and inexpensive option to upgrade. The 1000-watt series double-ended CMH lamps can be interchangeable with the double-ended series fixture and most double-ended CMH fixtures. The 315 and 630 watt are the industry's highest producing lamp at their respective levels. These results and features allows our customers to grow as we grow. Many growers start out as a small-scale operation with the intentions to expand. Our unique features allow our customers to keep their initial fixture investment and upgrade to higher wattage options without having to change the fixture or ballast. Coming from experience here, that is a pretty awesome feature where if you want to get more wattage, typically you would have to upgrade either your ballast or the fixture or both. And with Cultilux, you can just change out the bulb and typically double and then triple your wattage output. So use the code GROWCAST10 at cultdeluxe.com and save yourself 10%, or become a member and you can save yourself 25% at mygrowpass.com. Thanks so much to our partners, Soham Living Soils and Cultilux. All right, Christian, and we are back. Let's dive into integrated pest management. What are your protocols? Do you have any items, or basically how do you keep your indoor plants clean and healthy?
I have two different protocols. One is a preventative, and then one is for small to major infestations. I love using Grand Evo. Shout out to Jess Program from New Florida and Bo Dankmall. Those guys taught me everything I know about pesticide management, etymology, and all that stuff. I like Grand Evo. It's OMRI. Certified Regalia as well. I use those as a root drench and a foliar spray, but I also use Azamax and Organic. I've used all those in the industry, and I've seen some really great results. But more so when it comes to IPM is really teaching people how to spray, not what to spray. That makes sense.
Okay. Walk us through that.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that, you just go in there and you spray it. I mean, it's actually really funny. If you go and you watch anyone who's doing any kind of pest management or weed killers on your lawn, they kind of just, brush over whatever they're trying to kill and they walk away. And I think a lot of people see that and mimic that because what those guys are using are super high chemical killers, whereas what we're using is a lot of different stuff. Grand Evo and Botanigard, some stuff I use, they're bacteria and funguses, so you have to really apply them to where the bugs are. You have to spray under the leaves, stems, hit the soil a little bit, and it takes a lot of time. I've never really sprayed and it not take an hour and a half. And when a lot of these people, they see these things, they just want to spray really quickly, and then they walk away. That's actually really bad, in my opinion, because then you're just building an immunity for the pest. So when you come back to spray, they are going to be resilient to it. So I like to really spray death upon them and really hammer them to where the plants are almost drooping because they're so drenched. And really focusing on the undersides. You look at spider mites, you look at thrips and aphids and all this other stuff. They like to hide underneath the plants. So knowing where they are, and even sometimes before you can spray, going in and identifying where your problem areas are. It's an entire process that's kind of hard to tell people and have them replicate it over and over and over again because the whole growing process is hard. But that, like I said, save or kill your garden really.
Totally. So we just covered a bunch of products here. I'm going to link these all up in the show notes, guys. So please, check it out either at thehomegrownhelpers.com or depending on which podcast app you're listening to will depend on if the show notes are allowed to have links in there. iTunes, I can't provide any actual links, but head on over to thehomegrownhelpers.com and we'll get all of this linked up with the help of Christian here. So when you're working with a new grower, Christian, and getting somebody set up and, started off for their first grow, what type of characteristics or character traits are most important for a grower in order to succeed? What do you get jazzed about when you see a new grower, do something or act a specific way, and you're like, I know that guy or girl is going to be successful at growing their own cannabis?
Right. For me, what I'm seeing is they have to have that fine line of understanding and ambition. And it's kind of hard to say or explain, but if you can imagine someone who is really enthusiastic about gardening, but they understand that what they're about to do, they have really no experience on. Just having that passion to get in there and really want to be in there every single day. That is kind of what you want to see. But a lot of people will see that will be so gung-ho about it, they'll overcomplicate it. So you want to find someone who's really passionate, but kind of like, almost a little bit nervous, because it's just a lot. You got to take things slowly. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be in an uncomfortable situation. You have to fail sometimes to really understand what's going on. I failed a lot my first year. I've done things in my grow that was not beneficial at all, and it took me 2 to 3 weeks to bounce those plants back. But they made me a better grower, and I wouldn't have done it unless I was being a little more ambitious and trying new things and understanding that, before I even tried those things, I'm probably going to fail.
So I'm curious, what type of conversation do you have with a new grower that is overly ambitious? Like, how do you reel them in and get them to, take a breath before trying something new, or over trimming, or, over pruning, whatever?
Yeah. I tell everyone to start off with reading the Teaming from Jeff Lowenfeld's book, Teaming with microbes, teaming with nutrients, and teaming with fungi, in that order. It teaches you a lot about the science of the plant, about botany and horticulture, so that when you're actually applying some of these stuff, you have some scientific whys behind it. A lot of people on boards and just wherever will say, don't hire anyone, just go on YouTube and learn yourself. There's so much information out there. Like, how do you possibly start to dissect any of it? So I think when he wrote his book on giving people a real good insight to the whole soil food web and how plants act and react. But yeah, once again, it's just, they have to be eager to learn and always hungry for more knowledge, basically.
Right on. Yeah, absolutely. Another guest on the show, Aaron Lapsansky, a couple weeks back now, basically said that she, sees a lot of people that think they know everything in this industry already and aren't willing to even comprehend that there's so much research being done on this plant, and new things come out every week about how it can grow better, or better nutrients, or what have you. And some people just get so stuck in their rut that they're not willing to admit that maybe they don't know everything when it comes to growing cannabis. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. No, and that is a problem. That's a problem in the industry, just everywhere. I was just working at a place in Colorado, and it was all organic place, and the pesticide management they gave this place was just all wrong. Everything else they told them to do was right on the money with anything you want to do organic. But they gave them such bad information when it came to pesticide management that they literally just ran through all their money. And so you have to really be careful of that as well. I would never tell anyone that I know everything about. I know a little bit about all this stuff, but I don't know nearly anywhere that I really want to be when I'm done doing this stuff. I know what I know, and I know that works. But I can't tell you. I don't know any more than a botanist that's doing a rose field, or someone who's doing a botanic garden. That's not my field. I do cannabis and IPM management, so I can talk about those things, but if I don't know it, I will tell my clients I'm not sure about that, or I will look it up. And I think that's where a lot of people are not kind of being honest, because there's so much money in the industry. They kind of fake it till they make it, and they can get paid.
Cool. So you mentioned a lot of things in that last bit here, regenerative organic, the soil food web, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd be remiss if I didn't give a plug to some friends of the show here and of Growcast, the Regenerative Organic Cannabis Conference. Have you heard of these guys, Christian?
No, I can't say I have. I may have read about them, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, great. So they do conferences in 4 different places across the country, and actually up in Canada this time around. So starting off in January and going through March, they have 4 different events, one in Vancouver, one in Humboldt, California, one in Michigan, and one in Portland, Maine.
Nice.
It's a 3-day, all very intensive learning about regenerative organic practices, Soil Food Web, Natural IPM. They have Bug Lady Suzanne.
Nice.
They have Elaine Ingham, who, created the Soil Food Web concept. So I urge the audience, go check these guys out. They're going to sell out. They sold out all the events last year. They're going to try and limit it so that everybody can just have the best experience possible. And you can check them out at regenerativeorganiccannabis.com.
I'm on it.
And kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm on that.
Great. Maybe we'll see you at one of those events, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So kind of to wrap things up here, any last bits of wisdom you'd like to give to every grower listening to you right now?
Just keep going. A lot of things were going to happen, and I know me personally, there was a time where I did not want to grow anymore. I came home one night, and I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to take everything down and just sell it all. But, I mean, if you're really serious about this, you have to go through that point to get to where you want to be as a grower. And it's going to be hard, but just keep going and find someone who can help you and that can share the burden if you need. But, yeah, just don't quit.
Don't quit. Yeah. This is medicine, and I always say that, the cannabis plant really gives you everything back that you put into it.
I say that to my clients so much. I just tell them, hey, if you literally go down there and spend time with them, you'll see the result of that.
Yeah, it's really crazy, putting love and energy into your grow instead of anger and ignoring your plants really returns the dividends, time after time after time.
Great thing about it.
So, Christian, before we move on to our bonus questions, and audience, just a reminder that we're going to end this podcast here very soon. But if you want to hear more from Christian or any of our other guests, be sure to check us out at thehomegrownhelpers.com/bonus. And you can download the next 5 questions that we keep our guests around for. So head on over to that web address, thehomegrownhelpers.com/bonus, and check that material out.
Yeah.
So, Christian, how can our audience learn more from you, find and connect with you if they'd so like to?
Yeah, they can just look me up on Instagram. Change my handle, so it's prodigy_grown KC. Other than that, I will be in the Kansas City area. I'm in the Colorado area as well. I'm mobile between there and St. Louis. So if anyone, I'm throughout the Midwest too, Texas all the way up to Iowa and Minneapolis. I'm going to be in all those places. Yeah, just reach out to me and we can do something.
Great. So you're a traveling man. You're all over the Midwest there, huh?
I'm on my journeyman phase right now. I'm not a master grower. I don't think I ever be, but this traveling phase is really nice.
Right on. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Christian. And audience, if you liked today's interview, we'd appreciate a 5-star rating on whatever podcast you are listening to us on. You can also drop a review if you feel so inclined. We really appreciate that. It helps us reach more people here in the cannabis industry and help new growers become better growers. That's what it's all about. All right. So happy growing from all of us here at the Homegrown Helpers. We'll catch you next time.
Absolutely.